I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang, gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang, gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Niggas don't know what to think. Thought I get money and change. What you thought we was the same? Still stay away from them clones. Niggas better leave me alone. Talking about niggas is low. Run with niggas who don't know you. Whoa, I made that zagging when city to city. You niggas not hot in your state. If it was money to get a hit Henny, we get it and never complain. Same go for the gang, and we split it up all the same. I can't really eat, let's stay straight, cause we go way back in the day. My day ones from back in the day, they still hang around me today. You wanna come round us, you can't. I'm rolling up loud, it's great. Lil' mama, she bad but complain, cause I'm too in love with my dreams. And I gotta get on the plane, and go get this money with Dizzy. I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang, gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang, gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang, gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang, gang, gang.
I get the bag with the gang, taking that Zach to the bank. Henny be all in my drink. You niggas is stupid, you think that shit change? You not even hot in your gang. Ain't nothing even hot about your gang. You niggas be lying about saying, be posting them pictures of guns for the fame. Niggas just look at me different now. Say that's your man, but he a clown. Don't fuck around with the fuck arounds. Little nigga, you should cut it out. Me and my niggas take different routes. Punch a bitch nigga all in his mouth. Hold up my nigga, we different now. I need a Robert, this is my style. I get a check today, I spent it all tomorrow. I get a bitch today, she probably a foreign model. I get a check today, I spent it all tomorrow. I'm with my gang today, tomorrow never promise.
OG, I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang, gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang, gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang, gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang, gang, gang.
Attention, please. Please do not smoke in the terminal building. Smoking is only permitted in the specified smoking areas.
Zach. OG, I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang, gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang, gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang, gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang, gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Niggas don't know what to think. Thought I get money and change. What you thought we was the same? Still stay away from them clones. Niggas better leave me alone. Talking about niggas is low. Run with niggas who don't know you. Whoa, I made that zagging when city to city. You niggas not hot in your state. If it was money to get a hit Henny, we get it and never complain. Same go for the gang, and we split it up all the same. I can't really eat, let's stay straight, cause we go way back in the day. My day ones from back in the day, they still hang around me today. You wanna come round us, you can't. I'm rolling up loud, it's great. Lil' mama, she bad but complain, cause I'm too in love with my dreams. And I gotta get on the plane, and go get this money with Dizzy. I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang, gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang, gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang, gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang, gang, gang.
I get the bag with the gang, taking that Zach to the bank. Henny be all in my drink. You niggas is stupid, you think.
I think I'm cute. I know I'm sexy, I've got the look that drives the girls, while I got the moves that really move them. I send chills up and down their spines. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I make them hot, I make them shiver. Things get weak whenever I'm around. They see me walk, they hear me talk. I make them feel like they're God real. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. Let's go. That heart out, girl. Mic flipped up. Hands off the merchandise. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. Welcome everybody to another edition of the Pocket Locker Podcast. I am your host with the most, all the way from the East Coast. And as always, folks, I am in airplane mode. Folks, we've got a good show lined up for you this evening, a special panel with the gang. Before we go ahead and get into it, let's do what we do and get into our communion ritual. You know, some of you have been watching me for quite a while. And still, when I start this stream, you act like you don't know what you're doing. You know, it's probably why a lot of you are still Christians. I'm not going to lie to you. It's your low IQ. We show you the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, and you still don't get it. I'm starting to doubt how intellectually suited some of you really are. Now, anyway, please raise your glasses and hold on to your asses. Through him, with him, in the unity of the flying man. All glory and honor is yours, who fled for our sins forever and ever. You may drink. Oh, yeah. Let's get that in the chat. Bells. Good shit. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get into our communion song. This one comes to us from Foy Vance. It's our community's theme song. It's called Where Everybody Knows Your Name.
and he's going to play us out. Foy, you're going to play what to finish us up?
Do you know what? I don't know the name of this song, actually, but I know the song, and so will you.
Oh, look forward to this. Foy Vance, take it away.
All right, Cameron Bennett was first. That means y'all are slacking.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot.
There's a wild YouTube punk.
Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see troubles are all the same.
And Liz Allen was there.
You wanna go where everybody knows your name. Well, all those nights when you got no lights and the check is in the mail, and your little angel on the cowherd by its tail. Your third fiancé didn't show. Well, sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and you're always glad they came.
All right, I've got Cameron Bennett,
You wanna be
YouTube
where
punk,
you can see
Liz Allen,
troubles are all
Non-Believer, Pragmatic
you
Crystal,
wanna go where
Logan
everybody
Fisher.
knows your name.
Look at the trees.
When you
AR's
get
in the
out of
house.
bed,
Appreciate
coffee's
you.
dead. The morning isn't looking bright. You shrink right off to Europe
And gather, I've got AR, Carrie Ann, Lena, Stephanie, and UC Love.
Your girlfriend says she's not a girl.
We're at the beach.
Be glad there's one place in the world where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
Oh, Crypto Mystic is at the cafe.
You wanna be where you can see
Make
troubles
sure you
are
send me
all the
your
same.
make sure you send me your email address and gather. We can send you the other ones.
Knows your name. You wanna be where you can see troubles are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
All right.
Foy Vance. Most common word coming in by text, Foy, is goosebumps. Believe it or not, we've had that repeatedly across the whole series. If you want to see Foy Vance's cheeky grin when he sang the line, "When you find your girlfriend is a guy," you can go on the website. We'll upload a video of Foy singing that. If you want to see him live, 6th of December in Roisin in Galway, 7th of December in Whelan's.
That's right. We're all about that gather life. So I got the gang with me in Gather now. We are at the beach. Let me see. I think I've got us on this screen here. Yeah, we're over at the Tiki Bar. All right, so let's. There you go. There you can see everybody at the Tiki Bar. All right, so today's stream is kind of interesting. We were hanging out and gather as we do round the clock, 24/7 access. That's what it's all about. Gotta be honest, y'all. This community is just outgrowing YouTube, you know? I think a lot of people are like us, man. You're really here for the community, right? Unfortunately, YouTube isn't the best community building platform. You know, Gather is actually purpose built to help remote teams do team building, and we've found it to be quite effective. in that regard. But we're hanging out. We were watching Jenna over on what was the name of that show? Stephanie, do you remember?
It had to do with drinks.
Deep drinks.
Deep drinks. There
Deep
it is.
drinks.
Deep drinks. Now,
Yeah.
is there a difference between a deep drink and a tall drink? And a is it intellectually got to be deep?
And
I
a
don't
quick
know.
quaff? I don't know.
We were watching Jenna over there. Jenna was phenomenal as always.
Yeah, David McDonald is wonderful, and it was great. It was a
Yeah,
good show.
great channel. Check them out. But they referenced this little Dark Matter 2525 video. And so I thought we'd pull that up and review that real quick. And we're really just here doing what we normally do, which is pop up on YouTube, remind you that we're here, and then dip and go hang out and gather. Because, come on, you can't keep hanging out on YouTube all night, man. We're progressing. We're evolving out here. All right, let's go ahead and get into this clip. It's called "The Real God in Epiphany." It features a real wonderful analogy about a blind date, and it's crazy. This video has been seen by 2 million people and is 11 years old. Like, y'all don't understand how different of a human being I was 11 years ago. I could have never imagined all of this happening, but it just kind of shows you how new to the game we really are. Like, it's people that's really been out here for over a decade. Like, that's pretty wild. And still at it. You know, a lot of people, there's certain people like Aaron Ra, Matt Dillahunty. Like, if you can put a couple decades into this and you're still going, like, my hat's off to you. Like, because I'm about that type of longevity, but, you know, it's hard to have that kind of consistency, so it's amazing to do it for that long. I just thought about that. I was like, damn, they made this 11 years ago. That's crazy to me. Here we go.
Theresa is attracted to Anthony. She asks Anthony out on a date. Anthony isn't interested. Maybe he isn't attracted to her, or he's married. For whatever reason, he declines. Was Theresa rejected? Yes. When someone is rejected, they're prone to feel despair and frustration. Typically, she'll feel resentment and anger toward Anthony. The rejection affected the dopamine and cortisol activity in her brain, which can actually cause physical pain. Some short-term effects of this rejection are aggressiveness and antisocial behavior. This type of emotional reaction can also explain why atheists are one of the most hated groups of people. Theresa is a theist, and a billboard reminded her that atheists exist. Or perhaps Theresa discovered that her acquaintance Anthony is an atheist. Or Theresa is in an argument with Anthony about the existence of God. Any one of these things can cause Theresa to feel despair and frustration. Typically,
if you come to the beach, you need to come up to like it's called the B area. Oh yeah, he found it. All right, we're good.
Yeah, I got him.
Good shit.
Feel resentment and anger toward Anthony. Because of this, she may even exhibit aggressiveness and antisocial behavior. As you can see, there is a fascinating parallel between the typical reaction of someone who is romantically rejected and the typical reaction of a theist who encounters an atheist. But the parallel is practically shouted from the rooftops as the theist actually describes the atheist's disbelief as rejection. The atheist rejects God, they say. It is no coincidence that the theist chooses the word rejection. because there is a disconnect between the inaccurate use of the word rejection to describe the atheist's position and the theist's reaction, which coincides with the exact same symptoms of rejection, thereby compelling them to use that word, even though it's inaccurate. The inaccuracy can be easily seen from the romantic perspective. The analogy would look like this. Theresa tries to set Anthony up on a blind date with Gloria. Anthony doesn't think that Theresa even knows Gloria, or that she's acting as an agent on Gloria's behalf.
Best ever, really.
Did Anthony actually reject Gloria? No. What if Anthony doesn't even believe that Gloria exists? Perhaps Theresa described her as being too attractive, described her personality as too perfect to be believable.
This is something that I've really struggled with when it comes to believers, is how they miss the hyperbole. How the same people who teach you about the importance of honesty and integrity and all of this totally skip the part about how to check and see if anyone's consistent for all of those. Because their grift is the ultimate example of exactly what someone would need to convince you of to tell you something that isn't true. And when you walk away from the faith, that becomes really obvious, right? They have a unique Christianese response to everything. Lean not on your own understanding. God's ways are bigger than ours. We'll see in the end, right? It's like the bet that you don't get to see if it paid off until you die. And it becomes really conspicuous that all of these sort of reality-denying mechanisms are baked in.
This makes sense!
Right, but they just never happen to notice that part. Really weird.
They're just out there going, Gloria! Gloria!
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, most of us recognize, for instance, the mobster who comes around and says, this is a real nice shop you got, man. It'd be a real shame if something happened to it, right? And then, less than a week later, we come in one day and the fire department, the police are all here because the shop's been broken into. We're like, that was weird how that one guy came up to me and offered me protection. And when I said I didn't need it, all of a sudden, magically, been here for a couple years. But now, all of a sudden, my place gets knocked up, right? And of course, it just so happened to be that one dude who's got a reputation for running around town doing this sort of thing. But they would try to connect the dots on that pretty quickly, but they never really thought about, if there's really a curse on the earth and if it makes sense that a perfect person had to die and be born again for us to be made right with the perfect creator who made us imperfect in our sin nature. Hang on, I'm confused. That's very frustrating. Very frustrating. But yeah, love the analogy. Don't know if she's this. Where are you guys at, panel? Hey, all right. Go ahead.
I already...
I'm a little busy. I'm kind of muted.
Oh, AR, I was talking about your panels. What's up, Nitty? Not your panels, the little hole. Where does that hole go to?
That's a secret.
Hey, gang.
Hey,
Lena.
Lena.
I was trying to grab Crypto Mystic. He should be on his way.
Oh, okay. Thanks for doing that.
Nice.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Good to see everybody.
Good to see you too. Yeah, we're just watching this dark matter video. I'll roll the tape.
So if Anthony doesn't believe Gloria actually exists, did he reject her, even if she does exist? No. All Gloria would need to do is show up and ask Anthony in person for him to accept. Or perhaps Theresa described Gloria inaccurately. Is Anthony rejecting the real Gloria, or the inaccurate portrayal of Gloria, which doesn't actually exist, even though she does? In all accounts, Anthony is not actually rejecting Gloria, and in all accounts, Theresa would have no reason to feel rejected at all. So why then does the theist typically show the classic signs of rejection and even misuse the word rejection when encountering an atheist? Because Gloria is Theresa. The believer is God. Your relationship with God is actually a profound, dynamic relationship with the self, with your ego. It is why God knows you so well. It is why his opinions are so often your opinions, and why a different believer of the same God as yours can claim that he agrees with God's opinions, but not yours. It is why God can seem so very real to you, because he is real. He is you. And believer, before you deny this, ask yourself, are you truly in a position to be able to deny it?
Yay!
Wow.
Thank you, Lena.
Wow.
Of course.
Wow.
Everybody, Crypto Mystics here.
Hey, Crypto Mystic.
Yay! I made it. Thanks for having me.
This confusion
Good to have
of
you.
skepticism with rejection has caused the persistence of Christianity's fundamental flaw, a foundational flaw that has fatally detrimental implications for the religion. The religion itself is based on a false dichotomy, the notion that you must either choose God or reject him. But belief is not a choice, it's a compulsion beyond the realm of choice, achieved through convincing arguments, evidence, and trust. I do not choose what I believe because I perceive it as the more attractive option. I'm compelled to believe what I think is true, whether I like it or not, because desirability is not a requisite of the truth. This takes honest introspection. To truly make a choice, I must clearly be given the option. If I can doubt whether the option even exists, then the option hasn't been clearly presented to me, thereby preventing me from being able to make a choice. An omniscient God would easily see this flaw in his system. But God isn't omniscient. He only seems that way because somehow, some way, he knows exactly how to answer your doubts. He knows exactly how you think. And if you were paying attention, then you'd know exactly why that is.
That is chilling to me. Like that's pretty crazy. Man, that is a hard reality for most of us to face. Oof. I'm just trying to think about how Christians in my life would react to that video. Oof.
Well, this is why I have that apprehension and default or knee-jerk reaction to people saying, like, we should just be mean and aggressive towards Christians for what they believe, because to them, and I think Dark Matter did a great job saying, like, the God is themselves. And for them, their identity is Jesus. Their identity is the God they believe in. So for you to denigrate it, for you to criticize it, is to criticize them in their personhood, them in their lived experience. And that's why I try to be a bit nicer and good cop
Sure.
when I come around than anything else.
Yeah. So
It's
I appreciate that.
it's at the core of the presuppositionalist
Mhm.
thing that you know, our good friend biblically, who's been making the rounds, wanting to come
Oh,
on
biblically, we're
every
familiar.
single
We're
channel.
familiar. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
It's all about, well, you know God. God knows you. And it's like, I think I don't think we've gotten to the end of the video, but it's like,
No, we did. We're good.
we did?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But it's like, you already know this person, but it's like you're trying to explain to somebody, well, I don't really, and this person isn't real to me.
Right.
There's a huge disconnect there that it is very, very hard to bridge. And you're not going to bridge it with someone who insists that you know this person. They
Right.
can walk away shaking their head saying, well, you know, when somebody basically takes the position that, well, by use of the pronoun I, by asserting that you have existence, then you must acknowledge God's. How do you argue with that?
Yeah. It's why I have a hard time with the precepts. And again, it's one of those things where how do you not notice? Because I don't know. To me, it's been explained to them repeatedly that you can't start with your conclusion as an honest interlocutor. But
Doesn't matter.
it's a weird sort of personal special pleading. I personally think the ridicule should be reserved for the ideas, and I somewhat think it's warranted. Now, I do realize it makes people uncomfortable. I'm more the type of person that I'm not really sure there is a comfortable way to say the things that need to be said about these issues. I'm becoming more and more convinced it isn't really my responsibility to find it. But I certainly recognize that people prefer to, do this without hurting people's feelings. I'm really not sure that that's possible, but I certainly respect people thinking that they need to exhaust all those options. And I'm trying to work through that myself. It's just in the end, I felt like, at least for me, like that's the whole deal. And by that I mean the thing I've felt so hurt by and so uncomfortable with is the fact that I've had to not speak my mind, not be my true self, not express how I really feel about their religion. And now somehow I'm being told, well, even though I finally found my voice, now the primary concern still needs to be their feelings, their comfort, what they want to hear, how I should say it to them. And I genuinely feel like the way faith is practiced today takes advantage of that pro-social instinct. It's like if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile type of thing. But I do really admire the people who keep it focused on trying to, be nice about it, essentially. I try to have space for that, like on Hot Program. I try to do it in my own way, like if I'm involved in my church and different things like that. But I appreciate having a space where I don't have to always play it that way, because it's just not where I'm at right now. I'm actually incredibly intolerant to Christianity in my present worldview. I sometimes wish it were different, but it's just where I'm at.
And listen to me, I'm sick of it. I'm taking the gloves off.
Stephanie, I can't hear you.
Yeah, I
okay.
muted myself.
Okay.
That's why. Yeah, well, I think that presuppositions exist within and without all sorts of religions, and also within and without all sorts of attitudes. And to me, the barrier, yes, religion introduces them, but there has been we've had discussions recently on the YouTubes with people who have presuppositions about a lot of people
Sure.
who are atheists. We've had,
True.
the presupposition with, let's say Pine Creek, his presuppositions
Sure,
with, say,
sure.
Dr. Bob.
Yeah.
Bob. We've had his presuppositions. And Christians may have presuppositions. Their presupposition may be that God is loving and kind, and our mission is to our role in life is to be loving and kind to our brothers and sisters on this earth.
Sure.
And atheists may have a presupposition that logic is all, and sex is binary, and whites are better, and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So these presuppositions are not exclusive to religions.
Yeah.
Which is why I can't, as a person at the tip of the spear at the moment.
Sure.
I rely on what your beliefs lead you to do.
Right.
So I do understand, and I do sympathize with people who would like to load all of society's ills on religious belief when they don't examine, when including myself, when you don't examine your own presuppositions and your own biases, then you're not truly a skeptic.
Sure. I that's a good point. And I try to be careful about, say, like, individuals. We had this conversation a bit earlier with James, and it was sort of like, I feel like the organization has doctrinal issues, and I feel like that's something I don't express enough on the channel. But it's more about, at least for me, like, really making it. I sort of see it as the silver lining. Like, I don't know why that is, but I think for a lot of us, we're repulsed by the idea of saying somebody's a problem because they have this religious idea. And I get that. But for me, I'm more like, well, that's better than me believing they've got some other weird thing. At least if I know where it comes from, I think we can address the source of it. And what I think gets lost in the Dark Matter 2525 video did a good job of explaining it, but they substitute their ego for it, which makes it personal. Whereas for me, I want them to put the book, examine the book. I'm talking about the book. I've got problems with the book, and that's why I've got problem with them wanting to have the label, right? Right? Like, it's like we were having the conversation about, like, why do they hate, certain members of our community? It's like, because the book tells them they have to. So I'm so happy that they don't personally have a problem with those people, but I actually literally want their help in understanding, how do we hang on to this label and work against what this book says? Because what I fear is, the people that are causing the problems are right about the book. And that's like uncomfortable truth for me.
It's an uncomfortable truth for me as well. It is, yeah, they are right about the book. And I can't argue that. I would never argue that with me. It's like you can point out you can cite chapter and verse.
Right.
And say Yahweh's a piece of shit God. and that, all of that stuff's ridiculous. But at the end of the day, it's what you do that matters.
No, I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. And I definitely, yeah, I appreciate the sentiment, because that's kind of where I'm at too. And I think that allows us to identify people who are really allies. And I think a lot of times they're frustrated as well, right? Like, if I'm gonna be charitable, right? Like, they know there's an issue. They've heard the people in their midst talking about the thing, and maybe we're frustrated because we feel like they're looking the other way, or they're kind of just going along to get along. And we recognize they're enabling it a lot of times actively. A lot of times they're literally funding it and yapping it up and singing along and all of that. But I do think a lot of them would recognize it and then say they just don't know. And I'm sympathetic to that, actually. Right? Like, there's a lot of things where people recognize a problem, but they don't have the solution for it.
I've got no solution for it. Just try to convince people to do better.
Yeah, yeah. To be honest,
just keep the conversation going. The problem is if you're dealing with somebody who is operating within a cult mentality, and they've got thought-stopping ideas, and you run into one of them, how do you move beyond it? Because all you've got is your humanity to bring them forward to another level. And
yeah.
And you do it at your own, and you do it at a cost. It is so painful to work through those arguments, whether you're talking with a religious person or not. But religious people are particularly difficult to deal with.